Tonight, automakers Nissan and Honda are in talks to create the world's third largest automaker. Honda CEO says that if approved, it would be a mid to long-term project. They would not expect visible progress until 2030 or beyond.
Hyundai has revealed a first-of-its-kind vehicle, and it will be made right here in Southeast Georgia.
There is a lot of excitement happening in the automobile industry as Honda, BYD, and Hyundai recently made shocking announcements. Honda, in particular, is making the news with discussions about a potential merger with Nissan. Many automobile enthusiasts believe that this move could create the third largest automaker in the world. Meanwhile, BYD is solidifying its dominance in the electric vehicle market, while Hyundai is pushing boundaries with bold moves in technology and design. But what do these announcements mean for other competitors on the global market? Well, let's find out. Honda's recent announcement. Honda recently made a huge announcement regarding its plans to collaborate more closely with Nissan.
With the announcement of Nissan and Honda joining forces, the push for consolidation in the auto industry has shifted into high gear. The CEO of Nissan says the proposed new company would be one of the biggest.
These two companies are the second and third largest automakers in Japan. While they have not yet finalized their plans, the discussions focus on creating a holding company to enhance their competitiveness in the global market. The idea is that by working together, they can share technologies and reduce costs. But here's where things get interesting. Both companies have agreed to work on shared software platforms, standardizing parts, and developing specifications for electric vehicles, or EVs for short. Despite this progress, there is no official confirmation that a merger has been agreed upon, and both companies emphasize that the discussions are still ongoing. This announcement comes at a critical time for Nissan, which has been facing several challenges. Over the past 6 months, Nissan reported a dramatic 94% drop in net profit compared to the previous year. This decline is partly due to sluggish sales in the United States, a key market for the automaker. To address these issues, Nissan announced plans to cut its global production capacity by 20%. This reduction will include cutting 9,000 jobs by March 2027, a move aimed at reducing costs and improving efficiency. Alongside these changes, Nissan has also made adjustments to its management structure, including appointing a new chief financial officer, or CFO, in hopes of stabilizing the company during this turbulent period. The global automotive market is highly competitive, and Honda and Nissan face intense pressure from both traditional rivals and new players. Last year, Toyota topped the global automotive sales rankings, selling about 11 million vehicles.
Regaining pole position as the world's top-selling automaker for the first time in 5 years. Toyota said on Thursday its group-wide global sales fell 11.3% to 9.5 million vehicles in 2020.
Volkswagen came in second with over 9 million vehicles, followed by Hyundai and Stellantis. Honda ranked 7th with nearly 4 million vehicles sold, while Nissan was 8th with 3 million vehicles sold. If Honda and Nissan were to merge, their combined sales of over 7 million vehicles would make them the third largest automaker in the world. But experts caution that being large is not enough to guarantee success in the modern automotive industry. Why is this the case? Keep watching to find out. Challenges associated with the Honda-Nissan partnership. Fukao Sanshiro, an expert in the automobile industry, shared his perspective on the potential merger. He explained that the merger is logical, given the challenges both companies face, but the timing has surprised many industry insiders. Competition from Chinese EV manufacturers like BYD and global players such as Tesla has forced Honda and Nissan to act quickly. Fukao also pointed out the cultural and operational differences between the two companies, noting that their engineers often have very different approaches to problem solving. He described them as being like oil and water, which may create challenges when trying to collaborate. Despite these differences, Fukao believes the companies have little choice but to restructure and adapt if they want to remain competitive. The automotive industry has undergone a big transformation in recent years, with technology now playing a central role in determining success. Companies like Tesla have thrived not because of the volume of cars they produce, but because of their focus on innovation, particularly in areas like software development and autonomous driving. Foucault stressed that the traditional idea of success based on producing a large number of cars is now outdated. He suggested that Honda and Nissan will need to redefine their strategies.
A big shakeup in the auto industry. There is a behemoth in the making, Honda and Nissan, announcing plans to work towards a merger. So together the two companies would form the third largest automaker in the world,
focusing on technological advancements and adapting to the changing landscape of the industry. While the merger talks are still in the early stages, Foucault expects a formal announcement in the coming weeks. For Honda and Nissan, the stakes are high. The merger could give them the scale needed to compete more effectively against their global rivals. By sharing resources and expertise, the two companies could potentially reduce costs and accelerate the development of new technologies. But merging two large companies is never straightforward. There will likely be huge restructuring, and both Honda and Nissan will need to make tough decisions about which parts of their operations to keep and which to discard. As Foucault pointed out, the companies will need to balance their desire to maintain the high-quality standards associated with Japanese automotive brands with the need to adapt to a rapidly changing market. One of the biggest challenges for Honda and Nissan will be competing in the EV market. EVs are becoming increasingly popular as governments around the world introduce stricter regulations on emissions and offer incentives for consumers to switch to cleaner vehicles. Companies like Tesla and BYD have taken an early lead in this market, and traditional automakers are struggling to catch up. For Honda and Nissan, developing competitive EVs will be crucial if they want to remain relevant in the industry. This will require investment in research and development, as well as collaboration to share the costs and risks associated with creating new technologies. Things don't end there. Another challenge is the rise of digital technologies in the automotive industry. Modern cars are becoming more like computers on wheels, with advanced software playing a key role in everything from entertainment systems to autonomous driving features. This shift has created new opportunities for automakers, but it has also introduced new competitors, such as technology companies that specialize in software development.
I'm excited to talk with everyone about one of my favorite topics, software in the automotive industry. Specifically, the growing importance of software to enable advanced safety and performance and create custom driver experiences.
For Honda and Nissan, staying ahead in this area will be essential. They will need to invest in developing their own software capabilities or partner with technology companies to ensure their cars meet the expectations of modern consumers. Despite the potential benefits, some industry experts have expressed skepticism about the merger. They point out that previous attempts at collaboration between automakers have not always been successful. For example, cultural differences and conflicting priorities have often led to disagreements and delays. In the case of Honda and Nissan, these challenges could be even more pronounced given their history of operating independently. Now, we have established what this merger means for the companies involved and the general automobile industry at large, but what could BYD and Hyundai possibly have to say in response to this news? Let's get into it. BYD and Hyundai's possible response to Honda's announcement. After Honda's announcement, BYD and Hyundai may consider adjusting their plans to maintain their competitive edge in the rapidly evolving automotive landscape. BYD, based in China, has become a dominant force in the electric vehicle market. Over the years, BYD has gained a reputation for producing affordable, high-quality EVs that appeal to a broad range of consumers. The company has also benefited from strong support from the Chinese government, which has provided subsidies and other incentives to promote the adoption of electric vehicles. BYD has been able to leverage this support to expand its production capacity and develop innovative technologies. The company's strength in EVs has allowed it to compete effectively with global automakers like Tesla and traditional manufacturers like Honda and Nissan. Honda's announcement could push BYD to further solidify its position in the market.
Japanese automakers Honda and Nissan have announced that they plan to merge. This would be the world's third largest automaker by sales.
If Honda and Nissan move forward with their merger, BYD may focus on enhancing its EV offerings to ensure it remains ahead in this segment. This could involve increasing investment in research and development to improve battery technology, extend the range of its vehicles, and reduce production costs. BYD might also explore partnerships with other companies to expand its global presence. For instance, the company could form alliances with automakers in regions like Europe and North America to increase its market share outside of China. Things don't end there. Hyundai, on the other hand, is a South Korean automaker that has also made huge strides in the EV market. Unlike BYD, Hyundai has a more diversified portfolio, with strong offerings in traditional internal combustion engine vehicles as well as electric and hydrogen-powered cars. Hyundai's strategy has focused on innovation, with the company investing heavily in advanced technologies like autonomous driving and connected car systems. The company has also been expanding its global presence, with manufacturing facilities and sales networks in key markets around the world. In response to Honda's announcement, Hyundai might double down on its efforts to maintain its competitive edge. This could involve accelerating the rollout of new EV models and enhancing its existing lineup. Hyundai might also increase its focus on hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, a technology in which it has been a leader.
EXO, it's powered by hydrogen, but it's actually electric. Can you break that down for us?
We have 3 tanks in an EXO that store compressed hydrogen, and those tanks are small enough that we do not need to intrude into the cargo space or the passenger space inside the vehicle.
By differentiating itself from competitors like Honda and Nissan, Hyundai could carve out a unique position in the market. Both BYD and Hyundai understand that the automotive industry is undergoing a major transformation. The shift towards electric and autonomous vehicles has created new opportunities, but also new challenges. Companies must invest heavily in research and development to stay ahead, while also navigating changes in consumer preferences and government regulations. Honda and Nissan's potential merger shows the need for automakers to adapt and evolve in this dynamic environment. One possible strategy for BYD could be to focus on expanding its global footprint. While the company has been highly successful in China, it still has room to grow in other regions. BYD could invest in building new manufacturing facilities and establishing stronger distribution networks in markets where it already has subsidiaries like Europe, the United States, and Southeast Asia. By increasing its presence in these regions, BYD could reduce its reliance on the Chinese market and become a truly global player. This would also help the company compete more effectively with Honda and Nissan, especially if the two Japanese automakers succeed in strengthening their global operations through their potential merger. For Hyundai, a key area of focus could be its advanced technologies. The company has already made huge progress in areas like autonomous driving and connected car systems, and it could use these strengths to differentiate itself from competitors. Hyundai might invest in developing even more advanced features for its vehicles, such as improved driver assistance systems and seamless integration with digital ecosystems. By positioning itself as a leader in automotive technology, Hyundai could attract tech-savvy consumers and stay ahead of traditional automakers like Honda and Nissan. Both BYD and Hyundai could also explore partnerships and collaborations to strengthen their positions. For BYD, this could mean forming alliances with companies that specialize in advanced battery technology or software development. By working with partners that complement its strengths, BYD could accelerate its innovation and bring new products to market more quickly. Hyundai, on the other hand, might consider collaborating with tech companies or startups to develop cutting-edge features for its vehicles. Another important consideration for BYD and Hyundai is branding. Honda and Nissan are both well-established brands with strong reputations for quality and reliability. If the two companies merge, their combined brand power could pose a challenge to competitors. To counter this, BYD and Hyundai may need to invest in strengthening their own brands. This could involve marketing campaigns that shows their unique strengths, such as BYD's leadership in EVs or Hyundai's focus on innovation. By building strong emotional connections with consumers, both companies could enhance their brand loyalty and attract new customers. While the potential merger between Honda and Nissan is still in the early stages, its impact on the industry is already being felt, and companies like BYD and Hyundai will need to stay ahead to thrive in this new environment. Well, do you believe Honda's new announcement can push BYD and Hyundai to explore new frontiers in the automobile industry? So, what do you think? Is the cold fusion engine the future of the EV industry as Wang Chuanfu would have us believe? Or should we wait for a more practical alternative? Life within a convent was anything but simple. The authorities were meticulous about who they accepted, ensuring candidates were neither too young nor too old. You may wonder about the psychology behind this careful selection. The answer lies in the demands of convent life, which require physical and mental resilience. Very young girls were deemed unsuitable, not yet mature enough to handle the rigorous discipline. Similarly, older women were often considered too frail to endure the ascetic lifestyle. Only young women in the prime of their health were admitted, ensuring they could meet the stringent demands of their new life. At the heart of the convent was the abbess, the highest-ranking official and spiritual mother to the nuns. Her role was pivotal, as she wielded considerable authority and was responsible for the convent's spiritual and material well-being. This included overseeing the convent's possessions, such as land and finances, and ensuring that the nuns adhered strictly to their vows. The convent was among the most rigorously run institutions of medieval times, with the abbess maintaining a strict regimen to uphold the community's spiritual integrity and operational stability. This role extended beyond overseeing a convent. The abbess held significant social prestige. Typically, women of noble descent or those with connections to influential and wealthy families within the church would ascend to this esteemed position. The path to becoming an abbess was often fraught with political intrigue, requiring support from powerful patrons. These positions were often filled through elections, making the endorsement of high-ranking church members crucial for success. The second-in-command, known as the prioress, played spiritual and administrative roles. Acting as the abbess's deputy, she held considerable authority over the nuns, ensuring that the strict rules of the convent were adhered to and administering discipline as necessary. She was responsible for managing work assignments and maintaining the smooth operation of the convent. While prioresses were not always of noble birth, they held significant power and were well connected within the religious community. Their appointments, too, could be influenced by political maneuvering both inside and outside the convent. The vast majority of nuns, however, did not rise to such high ranks. So, what was everyday life like for the typical nun in a medieval convent? Imagine starting your day with prayer in a dimly lit chapel, your eyes straining to see in the flickering candlelight. You're not there to see, though. You are there to chant psalms and hymns in Latin, your voice echoing off the cold stone walls. This repetitive, austere routine could weigh heavily on a person's mind, fostering a sense of isolation and monotony. Moreover, the constant penance and punishment used to reinforce monastic values might lead to feelings of guilt and unworthiness, creating a complex psychological landscape marked by humility and self-denial. Following these early morning prayers, the day's labor begins, encompassing a variety of tasks crucial to the convent's survival. Whether gardening, cooking, cleaning, or tending to livestock,
the nuns depart from their work. Things like sewing, cooking, and making communion hosts.
The work is demanding and unrelenting. Picture the nuns, toiling in silence or muttering prayers, their hands calloused and rough from constant work, sweat trickling down as they plant, weed, and harvest. The physical exhaustion from these daily chores and a lack of personal fulfillment might lead to long-term physical strain and a muted sense of personal identity. These nuns had to suppress their natural human instincts, leading to a life of profound internal conflict and repression, making one ponder the true cost of their devotion and sacrifice. Feeding, milking, and caring for animals like chickens, goats, sheep, and cows became routine, yet the repetition and lack of personal fulfillment could foster a sense of drudgery and monotony. These nuns were deprived of culinary excitement by processing milk into butter and cheese, preparing simple meals from homegrown grains and vegetables, and rarely indulging in meat except on special occasions. Such a lifestyle, where physical labor was paramount, might have left them feeling physically exhausted and mentally unfulfilled. In addition, the sexual repression and physical toll of convent life were profound. Cleaning became a collective duty, with nuns scrubbing, washing, and maintaining communal areas without modern conveniences. Hand-washing garments, repairing wooden structures, fixing leaking roofs, and gathering firewood for cooking and heating were arduous tasks. Imagine the strain of chopping firewood during the harsh winter months. With limited male presence, these women took on maintenance and repair work, leading to a physically demanding lifestyle. The young nuns caring for the elderly faced additional emotional and physical burdens, raising questions about the long-term effects of such a rigorous and austere existence. Some convents also took in patients from nearby communities, showcasing their extensive knowledge of herbal medicine.
We're not traditional nuns. We don't get up every morning at the crack of dawn and pray. Our prayer goes into our work. Our prayer goes into the medicine making. Our prayer goes into the plan.
The nuns diligently fed, bathed, and comforted the sick, using their herbal remedies to provide care. Meal times were far from lively. Nuns ate in silence while one of them read aloud from a religious text. This practice was intended to keep their minds focused on spiritual matters, even during meals. Imagine the impact of this daily routine, the relentless physical labor and the enforced silence. Would the constant work and quiet reflection sap their energy and spirit? Combining hard, unending tasks and an environment that minimizes personal interaction could lead to a profound sense of isolation and emotional fatigue. But there's more to discover about nuns and their secluded lives. The dark secrecy to nunnery lives. In the secluded world of convents, silence held profound significance, shaping the daily lives of the nuns with intentional and pervasive quietude. Many convents strictly observed periods known as the Great Silence, which extended from the evening prayer, compline, until the morning prayer, prime, the following day. This era of deep stillness allowed not even the faintest whisper to break the serenity. During these hours, nuns were compelled to communicate only through gestures or written notes, and even then, only when necessary. This practice of silence was not merely a rule, but a spiritual discipline that fostered introspection, contemplation, and a sense of communal devotion. Seclusion in convent life also encompassed the nuns' commitment to physical austerity as a spiritual purification.
This week, Catholic bishops are meeting in Baltimore to discuss the priest sex abuse crisis in the American church and will vote on measures to hold themselves accountable.
For many, self-mortification was a crucial aspect of their religious practice. This included fasting, wearing coarse hair shirts that irritated the skin, and even self-flagellation with whips. These harsh measures aimed to subdue bodily desires and bring the nuns closer to the divine, reflecting their deep yearning to emulate the suffering of Jesus Christ. The combination of silence and physical austerity created an environment of profound devotion and spiritual rigor, reinforcing the nuns' dedication to their faith and their separation from worldly life beyond the convent walls. Nighttime offered no relief for the nuns, unlike the rest of the populace, who would retire from their daily labors. As evening descended, the nuns gathered once more for the final prayer of the day, Compline. After this solemn ritual, they retreated to their austere quarters, small, sparsely furnished cells that provided minimal comfort. Their beds were often hard, sometimes consisting of straw mattresses on the floor, embodying their commitment to a life of asceticism, even in their moments of rest. Enveloped in the darkness and profound silence, the nuns' sleep was brief and austere as they embraced their life of self-denial, even in their dreams. This short rest period would soon end, as they were required to rise again after just a few hours to continue their rigorous routine. Each new day began similarly, reinforcing their dedication to a disciplined and devout existence, marked by continual prayer, work, and contemplation cycles. Now, things are about to get intriguing. Despite the diligent oversight of authorities, including the church, convents were not always the paragons of discipline and morality they aspired to be. Beneath the veneer of strict adherence to religious vows, various transgressions occurred behind the convent gates. The cloistered women, despite their dedication, often demonstrated their inherent humanity. These deviations started with minor infractions, such as nuns occasionally bending the rigid rules of their order. Over time, Some nuns developed a pattern of rule-breaking, taking care to conceal their actions. Though largely hidden, their behavior highlighted the tension between their religious commitments' ideals and human nature's realities. In tracing the behaviors within convents, it becomes evident that the rule against owning valuables was one of the most frequently breached. The inherent human desire to possess beautiful things was strong even among medieval nuns, who found creative ways to bypass their vows of poverty.
I was so confused. It was like this sister is doing these sexual things to me, and I thought she was married to God.
Some would discreetly borrow fine clothing and jewelry, sometimes even lending and borrowing among themselves. Others took the riskier route of obtaining items from outsiders. In one notable instance, a convent in France made headlines because its nuns were accused of borrowing luxurious garments and trinkets from affluent patrons for their personal use. Similarly, the prohibition against keeping pets was another rule often ignored. Pets were seen as distractions from the nuns' spiritual duties and pure way of life. However, some nuns cherished animals deeply, choosing to keep them despite the clear violation of convent rules. These actions underscored the struggle between the nuns' human inclinations and the stringent demands of their religious commitments. Sister Joan of Leeds gained notoriety for her affection for cats, but her rebellious nature extended beyond this as she eventually staged her death to escape the convent. She crafted a dummy to take her place, then fled to start a new life beyond the convent walls. However, the most severe violations involved illicit relationships. These clandestine affairs represented the greatest breach of their vows, challenging the core of their commitment to a life of chastity and religious devotion. These relationships, conducted in secret, highlighted the persistent tension between human desires and the rigid expectations of convent life. These violations are nothing compared to the shocking ones we will uncover. The discreet sex lives in the convent. Celibacy was a cornerstone of their vows, but not all nuns found this aspect agreeable. Contrary to the common belief that nuns lead celibate lives, even medieval convents had their share of scandals that left the church red-faced. One infamous case was the scandal involving the nuns of Poissy. Founded by King Philip IV in 1304, the Abbey of Poissy gained notoriety for severe misconduct and illicit behavior. The nuns there were reported to have engaged in outrageous mischief and debauchery, defying the very essence of their celibate vows. The tales of these nuns' indiscretions didn't just embarrass the church. They also fueled many bawdy jokes and proverbs at the expense of the king and the ecclesiastical authorities. The salacious stories from Poissy became legendary, highlighting the gap between the ideal of religious celibacy and the human desires that persisted even within the convent walls. These nuns, who were supposed to lead lives of piety and restraint, sometimes found themselves caught in the throes of forbidden passions, proving that the lure of romance and sensuality could infiltrate even the most sacred of spaces. Another scandal involving medieval nuns was so notorious that it inspired a film. The film depicts a convent in turmoil, where a power struggle ensues after the death of the Mother Superior. Various nuns vied for the prestigious role, and one ambitious aspirant was willing to go to any lengths to secure it, including offering sexual favors. This sordid tale of corruption, sexual intrigue, and the misuse of power within the church underscores how the enforced celibacy led to sinful behavior. The nuns' attempts to navigate the unnatural rule of abstinence resulted in a dramatic power play filled with all the salacious details of human desire and ambition. This scandal, chronicled in a book published in 1829 and translated from French to Italian, highlights the unnaturalness of requiring nuns to abstain from sex. The enforced celibacy, rather than being a divine mandate, is a human-made rule that often led to the very behaviors it sought to prevent. The sexual shenanigans and power plays within the convent suggest that when natural human desires are suppressed, they can manifest in more disruptive and sinful ways. This humorous argument highlights the irony that the Church's strict enforcement of celibacy often resulted in the opposite of its intended purity and piety. Another scandal involved the convent of San Zaccaria, founded in the 9th century and reputed to house the remains of Saint Zachariah, the father of John the Baptist. This prestigious institution, however, became infamous for the shocking conduct of its nuns. Over time, it turned into a place where wealthy Venetian families sent their daughters who had been involved in publicly known love affairs. Instead of reforming their ways, these nuns secretly continued their romantic liaisons, forming relationships with local men. Interestingly, some of these men were notable figures within Venetian society, further complicating the scandal and highlighting the hypocrisy and moral failings within the supposedly sacred walls of the convent. The scandal at the Nazareth convent of the 14th century involved several nuns and local clergy members. The prioress of the convent, Sister Beatrice, found herself at the center of controversy for allegedly condoning and even participating in illicit sexual relationships. Her actions led to her dismissal from the leadership position within the convent, and other implicated nuns also faced expulsion. The scandal rocked the community and necessitated stringent reforms to restore order and uphold the convent's reputation. The incident underscored the challenges religious institutions face in maintaining the standards of celibacy and moral conduct amidst human frailties and temptations. Despite her outwardly pious demeanor, Sister Isabel, a prominent nun in a 13th century French abbey, was entangled in a scandalous affair. She maintained the facade of devoutness while secretly engaging in a romantic relationship with a local knight. The scandal eventually reached the ears of the king, who happened to be her brother, compelling him to intervene and restore order within the abbey. The incident exposed the tension between religious devotion and human desires, highlighting the complexities and challenges faced by individuals bound by vows of chastity and the expectations of moral rectitude. Abbess Marguerite von Meerfield, a figure in late 15th century Germany, became embroiled in a scandal she could not conceal. Her clandestine affair resulted in her becoming pregnant by a local nobleman, an indiscretion that ultimately led to her resignation. The scandal tarnished the convent's reputation, subjecting it to increased scrutiny. The church intervened to enforce stricter adherence to the vows of celibacy among the nuns, aiming to restore order and uphold the moral standards expected of religious institutions. This episode underscored the challenges abbesses and nuns face in maintaining their vows of abstinence while navigating the complexities of human relationships and societal expectations. Do you think nuns' practices in the medieval period and today are the same? Share your opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated and ensure you never miss out on future videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.